Hi everyone, my name is Neat Physio. Welcome to my channel, and today's video is for individuals who've had a C-section. And basically it's come from a load of questions that I've got on my Instagram page with people going, what core exercises can I do? When do I start? How do I start? Basically just wanting a bit of advice. So I thought I would do a specific video for those individuals. Now, before we start, however, just a quick disclaimer. Everyone has their own medical history, social history, or physical ability or limitation. So just check with a medical professional that you are safe to exercise. And when we do any exercises, we don't need to push into pain. So never push into pain. Now, these exercises are going to be very, very simple. You can see that I'm sat on the floor. They will take you no more than 5 minutes, and you want to do them on the floor or on your bed, and you can do them once or twice a day, so really just fitting it in as you can, and they are incredibly simple. The focus after a C-section is rebuilding or activating your deep tummy muscles as well as your pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor are a set of muscles that almost cradle and support your bladder, your bowels, and your sex organs. And after a C-section, or to be honest, most abdominal surgeries, this area can become weak or compromised, and then we end up with issues with our bladder or bowels. And from the tummy perspective, it can put us at risk of a hernia. Now, if you've had a C-section, the first thing I'll say is we tend to recommend to start exercising after 6 weeks. So allow that initial time frame for the scar to heal. We don't want any open wounds, but check with your midwife and then you can start these exercises. But they are safe for most individuals. So first of all, you're just going to begin in a comfortable position. So on your back with your knees bent, this is what we call a crook lying position. And it just means that there's less stretch and tension on your stomach. And we're going to start off with a really simple exercise called belly breathing. So either just relaxing your arms where it's comfortable or even just popping your hands on your stomach for that sensory feedback. We're just going to do 5 deep breaths. Inhale through your nose, and as you breathe in, just try and pull your belly into your hands. So trying to inflate your stomach. So inhale, inflate. And then exhale through your mouth and try and pull that belly in towards your spine. Inhale, push out. Exhale, pull in. Inhale, push out. Exhale, pull in. Inhale, push out. Exhale, pull in. Last one, inhale, push out. Exhale, pull in. The second exercise is very similar, but we're going to be rocking into pelvic tilts, which basically means rocking our hips backwards and forwards, but we're going to do it nice and controlled. So again, we'll do 5, hands on the bed, and we're just going to imagine the tops of our hip bones are like little lights coming from a car beam, and we're just going to try and rock them forwards and backwards in the air, but with control. So again, nice gentle breaths. We don't want to hold our breath here. So inhale, we're going to rock our bum away and arch our back. Exhale, pull our back towards the mat. Inhale, rock away. Exhale, rock in. Inhale away. Exhale in. Inhale away. Exhale. One more time. And exhale. Fantastic. On to our third exercise now, where we're going to be working into a heel slide, which is essentially sliding 1 foot away and back in. But again, we're going to add in the breathing. And for this exercise, I just want you to think about your belly and keeping this nice and stable. So what I mean is, as I slide, I don't want to feel my back lifting off the bed, and I don't want to feel myself twisting towards one side. So we want to have kind of just one hand width into the back in the mat, and then gently just making sure that your ribs also aren't flaring up towards the ceiling. So our belly should be slightly pulled in towards our spine. So there's this slight activation of our tummy. And again, we're going to inhale, pull that foot away. Exhale back in. We'll do 5 on each side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, really stabilize. Exhale. 2 more. Really think about controlling through your tummy. Last one. And exhale. And on the other side. So reposition, reset. Inhale. Inhale. Exhale. Keep going. And don't be alarmed if you don't get your leg very far or if one leg's less stable. Not a problem. Just work with what you can. And if you feel like you've got too much friction, just take your foot more off of the floor or the bed. Last one back up. Fantastic, we're almost there. We've only got 2 exercises to go. The next exercise, we're just taking our leg out to the side, but what we're trying to do is again engage this tummy. So our belly button should be gently pulled in towards our spine. Again, 1 hand width under your back and your ribs aren't flaring. So there's this slight activation of the stomach. And then the other thing we want to check is this time making sure we're not pulling towards as we take one leg out to the side. So the hips stay where they are, the knee drops out. If I just lower, you'll probably notice that my whole body pulls towards it. Whereas if I do it with control, the knee doesn't get very far, and that's perfect. That's what we want. Same thing with the breathing here. So we'll do 5 on each side. So engage everything. Inhale and exhale. Stick on one side. Really think about engaging that belly button. If you need to, use your hands to give that feedback so that your ribs don't flare or your back doesn't arch. 2 more. Last one. And exhale. 5 on the other side, and then 1 more exercise. Exhale, and again you'll find one side won't move as well as the other. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. 2 more. Exhale. Last time, inhale and exhale. Fantastic, well done. And then the final exercise, we're just going to try and activate our pelvic floor. Now, a good way to know whether you're working your pelvic floor is when you go to the toilet to stop the flow of urine, but we don't recommend you do this often. It's just a test to make sure you can activate that muscle. But essentially what we try to feel, so in this position, you're almost trying to feel your pulling up of the muscle around your pelvic region, almost like zipping up a pant and then letting go. And for this exercise, what we want to do is pull up and hold for 3, 2, 1, and relax. And what I want you to do is really think about, are you pulling up and holding, but also are you fully relaxing? Or do you find that it doesn't relax or it's a bit juddery? It's just things to be aware of to make sure that we're slowly regaining that control. The other thing to think of here is making sure that you're not squeezing your butt cheek whilst you do it, tensing your tummy whilst you do it, and making sure you do breathe through the movement. So we are going to do 5 sets of 3-second holds. So just 5 lots of 1 3-second hold. We should really do more, but because we're doing other exercises, I just don't want to overload you in this early stage of healing. So in this position, just take a nice deep breath in and relax. And then as you exhale, I want you to pull up that muscle and we're going to hold for 3 seconds. So pull up, exhale. 1, 2, 3. Relax. Inhale. Exhale, pull up. 1, 2, 3. relax. Inhale, exhale. 1, 2, 3, relax. 2 more times. Inhale, exhale. 1, 2, 3. Last time. Inhale, exhale. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. And you're finished with the exercises. Really well done today. So the final section is just a bit of advice. So during this stage, our core is rebuilding. So you want to avoid anything that increases the pressure of your stomach because it could increase your risk of a hernia. So what we tend to recommend is don't lift anything much heavier than a kettle where possible, and try and avoid things like crunches, press-ups and sit-ups. The other thing is thinking about when you're doing tasks, just being aware of what your stomach is doing. And what I mean by this is we want to make sure our stomach doesn't dome. When we do things under load, so straining, our belly inflates, and what that does is it actually puts pressure and it can increase your risk of a hernia. Even doing some of the exercises on the bed, if you try and even sit up from lying, you might notice your stomach tries to dome. Really be conscious of that. And when you're doing tasks where you feel that pressure to the stomach, just gently suck in that belly button, not with force, but just a gentle pull up, and then do that task. So say you do have to lift up some shopping, inhale, pull in that belly button, and then pick up that object. And then finally, just thinking about your scar. So once your scar has fully healed, so there's no weeping wounds or signs of infection, you need to be doing scar massage. Now, I am going to do a separate video on that. So just let me know in the comments below and I will link that video once I've finished it so that you can follow along and follow that scar therapy advice. But for now, the brief advice is 2 to 3 times a day. At the very minimum, gentle circular massage along the scar for about 30 seconds to 1 minute, a couple of times a day, and then apply a moisturizing cream. And actually, one of the best things to use is a silicone sheet. So I would use the cream 2 or 3 times when you do that massage. And then when it's all soaked in, apply a silicone sheet, and that's going to give it nourishment and compression to try and make that scar not heal really well, but try and avoid it having any complications such as itchiness, redness, raised or bumpy bits. So try that advice and keep an eye out for my specific video. That's it for today's video. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything in particular you want me to cover, and do subscribe and leave a like if you found it useful. Thank you for watching. Bye.